This was I did a film called Dark Blood with the actor River Phoenix, who was the older brother of Joaquin Phoenix. And it was interesting, it was very sad, because during the middle of filming, River died of a drug overdose. And I think in a funny kind of way it was because we were in the desert and there was not really much drugs, etc. around, but when he went back to Los Angeles, he kind of overdid it. So it's very sad. And but sometimes I think to myself that he would not have died, because if I had not got out of an elevator one morning in Cannes, what happened at Cannes Film Festival? At Cannes Film Festival, this is where us producers, people think it's glamorous and everything. For us, we go there to raise money for our films and to promote our films and so on. And one morning I walked into the main hotel. There are a lot of people, they're all going to their offices. And there was a lift, just the elevator there. And I stepped into the elevator, which was already full. And then a very beautiful Italian actress, she stepped into the elevator. And then a big producer called Harvey Weinstein, he stepped in. And then the doors closed and opened again because there's like too many people in the lift. So I said to everybody, I'm polite Englishman, don't worry everybody, even though I wanted them to know my meeting is on 6th floor, I will get out of the lift and walk up the stairs. I was kind of trying to impress the Italian actress. I thought maybe she would think this was cool. And so the doors closed, they went up. As I walk up the stairs, I meet another big financier producer called Bob Shea. He produced Lord of the Rings. And he said to me, Nick, this script for Backbeat, we love it. We love River Phoenix. We are not sure about the director, but let's do a deal. So I did a deal for $7 million, and we made the film. And I think sometimes if I had not got out of the lift that morning, I would not have met Bob Shea. I wouldn't have got the film funded, and River Phoenix would not have died. But I'm not taking responsibility for that, but I'm just saying chain of kind of events. And Ladies in Lavender we already talked about. So here's another lesson that filmmakers especially, but I think it also applies to other forms of art, and indeed for other forms of learning. What I find with our filmmakers is the first step is they try to imitate their heroes. If they love Scorsese, you can bet your bottom's dollar that their first film will try to be like a Scorsese film. If they love Kurosawa or Ozu, their first film will be like an Ozu film. They have and then they realize that when you are imitating, the only person who can do a Scorsese film is Scorsese. The only person who can do a Tarantino film is Tarantino. So they realize that the next stage they do is autobiography. So they look at the things that happen to them in their own life. This is my students, and indeed I think many people learning. And they try to do things they have experienced. Films are stories that they have experienced. But I explain to them that most of you live very boring lives. These are my students. So the stories are not that interesting. Sometimes they are, of course. Sometimes they are absolutely fantastic, but mostly not. But still, you do that, and you learn a lot from the first two, so that by the time you get to 3, you're starting to be able to be your own filmmaker. Someone asked me at a talk like this in China, said, Nick, how do you decide to have a style? Like Scorsese has a style, I said, well, I know a lot of these filmmakers, and you don't have a style. You don't impose a style on your filmmaking. Your style comes from you solving the challenges of the film you are making. And from the choices that you make, your style will grow upwards and out of that. In the first one, you try, do it, I want my films to be like X. You learn it doesn't work. So that's kind of You know how if you're a genius, then I always say to them, you don't need to go to film school if you're a genius. But if you're a genius, you just skip the whole lot and you start making amazing films, and we all hate you, but we love your films. And so that's a little like thing. That's Steve Soderbergh, the American director, who gave a talk at my school, and that was his sort of analysis. This is like the 7 stages of a student production. Actually, I would say it's the 7 stages of a professional production, to be honest. You know, wild enthusiasm, total confusion, utter despair, search for the guilty, persecution of the innocents, promotion of the incompetents, and distribution of T-shirts. And it is kind of like that. But out of that process comes some extraordinary work. My students, they often ask me, Nick, can you tell the other students what a producer does? And I say, a producer would never want that. Why would you tell someone else how you do what you do? Because you are creating competition for yourself. I said, it's good that it's a mystery. It's really good people don't know how or what we do. And it's really, and you should, and you will be appreciated not because people know what you do, you will be appreciated because of what you do. So if you are producing a production, you know, the other people on the production and the director, of course, they will appreciate you because of what you do. And they don't really need to know how you do it or actually what it is. This was my favorite description of producers, which is, you know, that they have to be craftspeople. People understand how to make, not themselves, but how to work with other people to make really good pictures, really good script, really good direction, and so on. Psychiatrists, because we are always having to deal with people with problems. We are bullies, in that we force people to do things. And I had a story about ladies in lavender once, where they said to me, we were just putting the money, having a big meeting of all the different people who are giving, investing money in the movie. And at the beginning of the meeting, one of the main financiers says, Nick, you have tricked us again. I said, trick you? No, don't be silly. I would never do something like that. I said, yeah, you have sent the British Oscar-winning actresses, Judi Dench and Maggie Smith, down to start shooting, and we don't have a deal. And I said, we do have a deal. He said, we don't have a deal. I said, we do have a deal. I said, we don't have a deal. I said to him, I said to this guy, I said, this is the film business. You know, if you don't like the film business, get another job. And he went, Nick, you think I haven't thought of that? So, you know, I was bullying them. I had all started the movie, even though we hadn't finished the deal. Because I knew if I didn't start the movie, it would never start. So I have to kind of start in order to force their hand. Otherwise, they will talk forever. They will argue about contracts. They will make life difficult. You will lose your actors. So very often you have to bully people. Goalkeepers, we have to stop goals. Translators, we were forever trying to, you know, we are very often, the director and the cinematographer are not communicating well, or the cinematographer and one of his crew. So we as producers are in always trying to make sure each person understands the other person to the extent they need to do like great work. Goalkeepers, friends, we pretend to be friends to people. Firemen, we put out fires when there are problems. Ditch diggers, just do manual work when it needs to be done. Mind readers, because we're always having to think, what does this person think? What does that person think? What are they going to think of this? What are they going to think of that? How are they going to react or act? Bomb throwers, so we make movies like the one I was talking about, which is very controversial and people are upset by it. And a spittoon, that's, you know, what you spit into. So that's just some of the things that, and my final lesson, you know, is you need luck. This was a sign on execution chamber, you know, closed for safety reasons. That's kind of a joke. But, you know, you do need luck in life. I mean, people say you don't, but I think you do. And some people, they don't have the luck, and that's just the way it is. But some people, of course, have the luck and they throw away the opportunity. But most of the time you need luck, but you need to look for luck. You need to be, you have to always do the extra stuff. That means you're somewhere and someone else isn't, and something happens when you're somewhere that you know, didn't happen. Like when I was invited to come here to talk to Madam Tozer and Professor Tozer and by Ken, you know, I asked if I could talk to the students here, because you never know who you're going to meet, what's going to happen, and you can get a good flavor of what's happening. This is a guide to the Western film industry. I think it probably applies to Japanese. You can get it off the internet. It's kind of funny. My favorite one is, if you start at the top and go to this side, it says, do you appreciate money above everything else? No. Can you get excited about someone else's idea? Not really. Do you have exceptional literary talent? No. Are you bitter about it? Yes. Be a film critic. So that's whereas, say, producer here is, you know, do you have wild imagination and no shame? Whoops, that's the wrong one. Where are we? Somewhere there. Yeah, are you skilled at cleaning up other people's messes? Yes. Do you stress about it? Yes, producer. But it's kind of fun, and it's worth looking at. You can find it on the net.